Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about foreign policy, and we're going to talk about your foreign policy questions about today's events. There are four of them, and we're just going to kind of go through them and answer them in basically in order of those that came in most frequently first. Okay, so starting off, the most frequently asked question about this was, did the $6 billion provided to Iran cause this? There's a real easy way to answer this, but I think it might be more illuminating to run through a scenario. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, that Iran got the aid, the medicine, the food, got all of that stuff. The day news broke, the day the deal was done, they got all of it. In more or less 3 weeks, Iran secretly sold billions, then laundered and transferred the money to get the weapons, then got those into that area, which is very secure, all in the matter of just a few weeks. Seems really unlikely, right? It would also kind of indicate that you believe that what happened today was planned in a matter of weeks. Seems really unlikely. It would be even more unlikely if the money was still sitting in Qatar. No. That did not cause this. Now, there's an obvious response to that is that, well, they knew the money was coming, so they used money they already had. Yeah, they might have known an extra week, still not enough time. And that argument would presuppose that Iran has been hard up for cash to fund this kind of stuff. That's not the case, as evidenced by the last, half a century. This is a manufactured talking point to provoke outrage at home. That's it. Anybody who presented that as fact, I would be very leery of their foreign policy opinions in the future. Okay, so the next question. This seems different from other flare-ups, is it? Oh yeah. Generally, they're spontaneous. Generally, the flare-ups are spontaneous. It's a cyclical thing. The outrage builds, there's a back and forth, the outrage builds, and then boom, something happens. What just happened there? No, that was planned. That was coordinated very well. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing. That was incredibly well coordinated. That's not something you just throw together. It's not something that just happens. So that does make it different. Okay, the next one. Given the U.S. Western desire to get out of the Middle East and have a multipolar Middle East, what's the likely next foreign policy move? And this was asked quite a few times, and nobody took something into account when asking the question. There's two questions there, really. Because you have the question of, if the United States and the West was actually committed to getting out of the Middle East, what would be the next foreign policy move? And then you have the question of, since a whole bunch of Western politicians decided to stand on those who were lost and make a bunch of political points, what's the next move? Okay. If the West was committed to the idea of getting out of the Middle East and allowing it to become a multipolar region where they, it's your thing. Y'all deal with it. Israel's in the Middle East. If that strategy is adopted and comes into play, the U.S. move, the Western move, would be to treat the Middle East the way it treated Africa for the last 50 years when something like this would happen. Thoughts and prayers. But because of the political situation at home, is that what's going to happen? No, definitely not. I would suggest the U.S. move here would be to cut a check to Israel, for those who are not familiar with the dynamics. That would be my guess as to what's going to happen. Okay, and the last one. Is there a potential for this to widen? I'm going to say yes. I don't think it's a huge potential, but this was very well coordinated. I think whether or not it widens depends on the next 36 hours and how things shape up on the ground. I wouldn't say that it's even odds. I think it's probably not as likely that it widens, but it's not one of those situations where I'm like, oh, that's not likely, when I really mean that's almost impossible. I don't think it's likely, but it's definitely something to watch. And there we go. Those are your questions. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.